In the field of art house cinema, there are occasionally films that cross the boundaries of expression, challenge social norms, and demand that the audience constantly reflect upon them. One of these is Dogtooth, the work that brought the name of director Yorgos Lanthimos to the entire world. Set within a rather old family, the parents do not hesitate to use the most extreme methods to mold their children's lives according to their will. The film is a dark portrait of tyranny, where individuality and even morality become sacrifices for control. Eventually, that imposition destroys the lives of the children, forcing them to paralyze themselves in order to exist in a warped environment. In this video, let's analyze Dogtooth to see the dangers of pursuing absolute control. The family in Dogtooth has a total of 5 members, parents, and 3 adult children. They live together in a comfortable villa in the suburbs, but only the father can leave the house to go to work. The children are taught that only when their dog teeth fall out will their bodies be ready to face the dangers outside. However, to leave safely, they must use a car, and only when the fallen dogtooth has grown back again are they allowed to drive. Thus, even though they are fully grown, the 3 siblings have never set foot out of the house even once. Obviously, the parents in Dogtooth want to imprison their children for life in a cage woven with lies. Because dog teeth cannot naturally fall out, let alone regrow. Without contact with the outside, the children are forced to rely on their parents for food, drink, medicine, and knowledge. But even the knowledge they are taught is distorted information. For example, in their eyes, the sea is a leather chair with wooden armrests. Highway is a very strong wind. Excursion is a very durable material used to make floors. Shotgun is a beautiful white bird. And telephone is the word used to refer to a salt shaker. Everything that does not exist within the villa grounds, or is related to the world outside, is assigned a different meaning by the parents, aiming to prevent their children from developing doubts about the environment they live in. Even the entertainment videos the family watches over and over are actually just tapes recording their own daily activities. The only thing outside the control of these parents is the airplanes that often glide past. So they tell the children those are toy planes. If they fall, whoever picks them up owns them. Consequently, whenever they see a plane in the sky, the siblings pray for them to fall so they can have new toys. By this closed educational method, the parents in Dogtooth have completely controlled the information their children receive, thoroughly cutting off their ability to integrate into society. However, curiosity is human nature. The children are always curious about the world out there, waiting for the day they can step out of the house. If they aren't shown hope for the future, sooner or later someone will risk breaking the rules. The couple immediately fabricated the existence of an eldest son, who was old enough and allowed to live outside. At the same time, they did not forget to exaggerate the danger of the outside world, where cats are waiting to jump out and tear humans apart. Through this, both successfully turned fear into an invisible jail, restraining the desire for freedom of the children. Looking at the son, you can tell. The toy plane was thrown outside the gate just a few steps away, but he didn't dare go out to pick it up, only able to wait for his father to come home and get it for him. Not to mention later, the father added the story that the eldest brother was killed by a cat because he went out without being carefully prepared. This further increased the apprehension in the siblings' hearts, making them believe that home is the only safe place. And if anything happens, just follow the instructions and everything will be better. It doesn't stop there. These parents constantly cultivate the concept in their children that parents are number one. A typical example is the scene where the whole family listens to grandfather singing. The grandfather the father mentioned turns out to be Frank Sinatra. And the song they hear is Fly Me to the Moon. The children listen to the music while listening to the father translate the lyrics into Greek. Grandmother loves us, mother loves us, do we love them? Yes, we love them. Mother is proud of me because I always try my best. My home is beautiful and I will never leave here. Clearly, the father used the beauty of music to plant the thought in their heads that nothing is more important than making their parents proud. To reinforce that concept, the father turned it into a competition between the siblings. Whoever pleases him the most is allowed to stick a sticker, symbolizing honor. And if the sticker doesn't have the desired effect, there is the threat that if they don't listen, the mother will give birth to more siblings, and only those who are good won't have to share their bedroom and toys. In such a competitive atmosphere, the children only focus on finding ways to please their parents and don't dare disobey them even slightly. Of course, occasionally violations still occur, or simply the parents feel their children are not good enough. This is when punishments are applied. Lightly, they must hold mouthwash and not spit it out. Heavily, they must endure brutal beatings. From cutting off contact with the outside and controlling information to brainwashing and restraining with fear, and using a reward punishment system that hits the psychology right. The parents in Dogtooth have successfully turned their children into oversized kids who cannot live away from the family. Viewers cannot help but wonder what the reason is for them doing such cruel things. It's easy to see in this family that the father is the one who holds primary power, while the mother is just a submissive follower. Therefore, the decision to raise children in the aforementioned way must stem from the father himself. Although the film never clearly states the reason he wants to do so, many details show the father is obsessed with perfection. For example, when bringing the girl Christina home to handle the son's physiological needs, he continuously asks, "Have you showered? Or have you washed your hair?" Waiting for the son to finish practicing, he then lets Christina into the room. Before the two perform, the father neatly folds the blanket, fixes his son's hair, and then leaves the bedroom. Or even though something just happened to their child and the mother is still crying her eyes out, he doesn't forget to remind his wife, "Did you brush your hair today?" For such a perfectionist, the possibility of children being influenced by the outside environment and becoming flawed is truly unacceptable. That's why when he found out Christina secretly let the eldest daughter watch cassette tapes from the outside, the father flew into a rage and went to her house to assault her. It's noteworthy that the father's job is managing a large military factory. Every product before being put into production must meet the standards set by him. It can be seen that the father applied that process to the education of his children. Instead of letting each person develop in their own direction, he prefers to mold them into a preset pattern. Only then can the father ensure the children are up to standard and his family is perfect. Because this educational method completely ignores individuality, the children in the film have no names, only called by titles like eldest, middle, or youngest. However, perfectionism isn't the only cause leading to the father's perverted control. Besides the desire to make everything perfect, there is also the infatuation with the feeling of being obeyed. In this family, the father holds absolute authority. He is the one who provides everything and is the role model for the children to learn from. But it seems for the father, that is still not enough. He even wants to train his children the way people domesticate dogs, literally. In one scene, the father tells his wife and children to kneel down and learn to bark like dogs to scare away cats. Obviously, he wants his wife and children to learn to listen, like dogs loyal to their owner. And later, every time they want to please him, they come to lick the master, exactly like a breed of dog. The problem is, no matter how much the father tries to control, there will always be things that happen outside his control. At the beginning of the film, the son has reached adulthood and gradually has physiological needs. The father then hires the security guard from his factory, Christina, to solve this issue. But that very action brought disturbance to a family where no outsider had ever set foot. Christina's appearance sparked curiosity in the children about the world outside, especially the eldest daughter. Through sexual exchange and later through threats, the eldest daughter learned from Christina information she was never taught. She named herself Bruce and began to follow the movies in the exchanged cassette tapes. The desire to explore was ignited, so the suffocating safety in the villa no longer satisfied her. The climax was when this matter was discovered. Christina was fired, and Bruce had to go to her place to solve the physiological needs for her younger brother. Endurance was pushed beyond the limit, making her more and more repulsed by her current life, and only waiting for a chance to escape the chain. Finally, one day, Bruce personally smashed her Dogtooth and hid in the trunk of the car to be taken outside. The second daughter does not have the rebellious spirit of the eldest sister, but has learned to take advantage of loopholes in the rules to cause destruction. An example of this is when she used a hammer to break her brother's leg, but lied that a very large cat did it, and that her brother was so delusional from the pain that he blamed her. The father and mother knew clearly she was lying, but had no way to refute this testimony, so they could only be angry without being able to do anything. As for the youngest son, he is the most obedient among the three siblings, but has also vaguely noticed the wrongness in his parents. This is shown clearly in his conversation with Christina and his mother. Specifically, Christina said she dreamed he was a zombie, but the son didn't know what a zombie was. Waiting until the mother brought water, he hesitated to ask her about the meaning of the word. However, when asked where he heard it, the son instinctively hid the truth. That reaction showed that despite accepting being lied to, he was still aware that Christina was the only one who could give him real information about the outside world. In truth, although the three siblings might look carefree at first glance, they all feel the suffocation in their living environment. Just look at the games they created, competing to put their hands under hot water to see who lasts longest, inhaling anesthesia together to see who wakes up first, or playing hide and seek to see who finds the mother fastest. Endurance, numbness, and blinding oneself. That is the way they overcome this imprisoned life. If they can still endure, they will continue to deceive themselves to be good children. If they can't endure anymore, they will find a way to escape like Bruce. So if you ask whether absolute control is feasible, sadly, the answer is yes. As long as this control does not exceed the limit of the majority of those being controlled, there is a high chance they will continue to obey. That's why after Bruce left, the family's activities still continued according to that warped orbit. Only now the second daughter would have to replace the sister to solve the physiological needs for the younger brother. Although controlling in a dictatorial and tyrannical direction is feasible, its harmful effects are extremely clear. For example, while in some aspects tyranny is beneficial for maintaining order, if order is placed above morality, terrifying incidents will occur. The couple letting their children sleep with each other to minimize outside influence is an example. Not to mention the controlled person will not only lose freedom, but also lose their humanity. Sooner or later, they will turn into machines that only know how to run according to a program, soulless zombies. This was clearly depicted through the stiff, robot-like dance of the children in Dogtooth. Even though they were exhausted to the point of collapse, they still had to wait for their father's permission before they could stop and rest. Having been caged their whole lives, their ability for independent thought has withered. They instinctively consider what they were taught as truth. Thus, even when intending to escape, the eldest sister still had to follow the proper process, smashing the Dogtooth out, then letting the car carry her out, because she believed that only by doing so could she leave the house. Obviously, she herself is free, but her spirit is still trapped in a new skin cage. The chance for Bruce to integrate into society is almost zero. The wrong knowledge she once learned has ruined her forever. Furthermore, the family in Dogtooth is often seen as a mapping of the political and social situation of Greece at the time the film was released. If so, Bruce escaping one cage is actually just moving into a larger cage. And although the Greece of today is very different from before, there is no shortage of countries still pursuing absolute control. Looking at a country that has succeeded in this, perhaps absolute distortion is not just fiction or exaggeration.